Look at that, it's already June the 12th. I'm pleased you found me here. Grab a coffee and let's get smarter together. How does social media impact us? And I ask the question, of course, with the explore-exploit balance in mind. The first thing to understand here is that any shift away from its natural position far toward the explore side of a balance will be creepingly 2 steps forward, 1 step back, simply because we are moving away from our natural setup, what leads to negative consequences, of which the single individual will become aware and will set out to find a remedy for. The first move away from the natural balance was probably one born out of an understanding of the importance of exploring, of being able to look at things with different mindsets to become aware of different aspects of the inner and outer environment, and the role that triggers play in it. Remember, we are aware of the intelligence, our intelligence that maintains and updates our model of the world. But from the moment we identify with the self within it, we perceive this intelligence as foreign. And once a trigger changes the model, allowing us to become aware of different features, which pave the path to different earlier and literally unthinkable solutions, it's easy to attribute each of these mindsets to different outside intelligences. Thus, it's easy to see how our prehistoric ancestors discovered gods and goddesses and began to attach different triggers to them, as well as subjects to their realms for which it was helpful to go there. Also known as get into this frame of mind that would be helpful because the things it makes us more acutely aware of are what we need to be aware of when faced with a certain problem. This was, however, already a standardization, the exploitation of existing knowledge, also known as engrams of interpretations of situations in the past. While it provided some sense of security because in the back of our heads we knew that in times of trouble, when exploration would be too risky, we could go back to the known triggers and switch frames, mindsets, to what was needed. It was a false sense of security. We are part of a complex system in which about everything is a variable inside and outside of our body. We are never the same, neither is our environment. Hence, we will never get into the same situation twice. What must happen is as little reliance on prior knowledge as possible and as much search for the right trigger and thus the right mindset in the moment as doable. What is made more difficult, of course, because our metabolic and timely restraints are in a constant tug of war with the need to conduct these random searches. Standardization is what happens when we allow metabolic and timely restraints to tie us up, and not the current restraints, but that which might pressure us in the future. Exactly because we are a small part of a complex, ever-changing system, the present moment can be observed from different perspectives until one such perspective points us to the path we need to take. The only thing we know about the future, however, is that it will be different from what is. Otherwise, everything possible will happen in the future all at once. What keeps standardization in bay, though, is the way our self naturally develops, from the creation of a personal self in an infant and toddler that interacts with the outside world via the social self, where we use the prevalent mindset of the people around us, to the rational self that discovers that it can call up in different mindsets independently, to the self-offering self that discovers that the self itself is our own creation, to finally the enlightened mind that understands that we are not any one self, but a vessel that can create selves on demand. We are designed to understand that what we perceive as us is a multitude. New members are added on the fly to be the actor that is needed in the particular situation. There is no standardization of a self possible after childhood. Once this basic notion becomes questionable, once cultural influences interfere and the human itself gets standardized and reduced to ever fewer mindsets, as it is confronted with ever fewer mindsets, by being taught that it can only be one person, one self, a line is crossed. Now, the future of this one persistent self in the ever-changing complex system around it becomes the center of every conscious thought. And that turns the focus away from exploring to meet the present moment with a self that's an actor fitting the current circumstances and onto standardization, the exploitation of knowledge gathered by this one persistent self in the past. In the real world, even once the self has been standardized, thanks Plato, we happen up in different mindsets. We can't help it. Diverse cultures mean different mindsets are regarded as standard. Triggers work on us, leading to shifts that we try our best not to notice. And every time we are confronted with a different mindset outside our range, it reminds us that what we should be doing. How different mindsets make us aware of different features and are thus suitable to problem solve in different situations. It broadens our minds, restores our natural explore setup just a tiny bit every time it happens. On social media, the algorithms make it so that we are confronted only with the one mindset we are already in. This constant confirmation leads to an ever more of using old and tested reactions in new situations, as this more of exploitation seems to safeguard the one self in the future best. It must be true, as apparently everyone is deploying it. Anyone using another mindset and thus exploiting different knowledge can't be acknowledged as a source of insight, but represents an immediate mortal danger for the one persistent self and must therefore be eliminated. Returning to the beginning, this is a false sense of insecurity because the distance between how the physical universe really looks like and how it had looked like in the past will only get bigger and bigger. And that means we become less and less viable in the present. Explore, also known as think. Make a habit out of thinking. Let's turn thinking into a movement again. Like, comment, share, and follow, especially when I'm not matching your mindset, lest you miss a single opportunity to improve yourself and society. Once you do, we'll meet again at the coffee pot.